Hey, y'all already see. I got Matt Smith on. He right here with me, baby. We jumping straight off in this thing. This was a big day for Colorado. And I really want to hear what Matt Smith got to say because, again, I tell y'all he's been covering Colorado for years now. So I want to know what he truly thinks. So we jumping right into it, man. You saw it today. I don't even know if you knew it was coming that they was going to do the commitment today, but I was strolling through Twitter like, oh, wow, okay, we doing that today? Let's get it. I knew it was going to be pretty soon, but I didn't know it was like that. So did you know the commitment was coming today?
I didn't know it was coming today, but I had a good feeling it was coming this week. I'd heard a couple of things behind the scenes. So,
Yeah.
look, I mean, what an amazing day for the program. Coach Prime
Mhm.
goes out and lands Juju Lewis. Sounds like it's been in the works for quite a while.
Yeah.
And I'll just say this. They would not have taken the picture of Shador handing him the keys if they didn't have a pretty damn good chance to land him.
Yeah.
That was our first real sign that this is the guy they really want.
Right.
If Shador's giving them their his sign off and this is the guy that they're going to do that for. They're
Yeah.
putting all their chips in this on this hand and all their eggs in this basket. And so I had a feeling that this is the way they wanted to go.
Mhm.
And look, they pulled it off, and just yet another impressive accomplishment in 2 years, and not even a full 2 years. So, I mean, if life is good as a Buffs fan right now, man.
What you think about having has Colorado in the time that you covered them or in any time span that you know about has had, well, I know you done seen some things. So have they had a quarterback like Shador and then come back and grab another quarterback that's supposed to be in the likes of that as well?
Well, it had been a long time since we'd seen really a talented elite thrower of the football.
Yeah,
Before Shador, it was Steven Montez back in like 2017, 2018. And
yeah,
then before him, it was Sefo Lufau in 2016. But neither one of those guys were as talented as Shador throwing
right,
the football. Shador is the best quarterback that's ever played for CU, in my opinion.
right.
Cordell is on that list as well. And it wasn't going to be easy to unseat him. But when you're about to be the first overall pick in the draft, it's easy to do that for
Yeah,
Shador. So, yeah, I mean, we haven't seen that. And then obviously a quarterback, it's weird because his rankings are kind of all over the place just
yeah.
because of the reclassification. So it's tough to say definitively, that he is a 5-star based upon everybody else. But going based upon ESPN 300, he's the second overall player in the country. And he was going to be number 1 overall in 2026. His talent isn't the question, the distinction, I guess. But to be honest with you, the second he steps foot in Boulder, all those stars go away and you become just another buff and you
Right.
got to go out there and earn it. So look, I mean, this is, I think more than anything, a lot of fans out there today were relieved because you don't get Juju Lewis if you're leaving.
Right.
And because of all the chatter lately that was started by Stephen A. Smith, it's ESPN is just driving me nuts. And I think you and I even talked about this last
Yeah.
week. But I I downloaded a couple of things. I landed in Kansas City tonight, so I'm here for the game this weekend. And I
Right.
downloaded a couple of videos today from First Take and some of the shows this morning. And I'm watching it there on the plane, and I'm just like shaking my head. Like now they got him back to FSU. Now here we go again with the Florida State. Now that because you know what happened, Michael Irvin this week came out, put his foot in his mouth a little bit.
Yeah.
Like it was to a different level than we had seen before, right? When
Right.
he said, I know 100% that if they draft him, he's going. Well,
Yeah.
and he said he's talking to great sources, and he insinuated that he was talking to Prime, and that
Yeah.
Prime told him that if they draft Shador and offer him the job, then he's gone, which of course would be in direct contradiction to everything that he said publicly. And
Right.
honestly, people just read headlines and believe it. So if
Right.
Michael Irvin says that, it doesn't matter if I've been around the program for a year and a half and have been on the record 100 times saying that he's not going anywhere. That's
Yeah.
one of his closest friends. That was a really big screw up on Irvin's part, and I know what he's trying to do. But right now, this is the absolute last time that you need that. Now, Coach Prime also, to promote his show, dropped a little moment there with Ice Cube where,
He
look,
did.
I mean, Coach Prime ain't no fool. He knows exactly what he's doing now,
Yeah.
and he knew that would get some eyeballs, and it did. It was also just one of those moments where it's like, really, you want to talk? I was surprised he even brought it up, like, and asked advice, Normally, he just shuts it down immediately. And
Yeah.
so it was really important that this happened today because it quells all of that, and now your centerpiece is in place moving forward to build the rest of this class. And I think I even brought it up with you, what maybe I don't know, a couple shows ago now,
Yeah.
where I said, "Hey, if Juju's going to do this, let's go. Like, let's do it now so that they can have a couple
Yeah.
of weeks to work on the rest of this class." And
Yeah.
he did. And the fact that they locked him in early, that's a big deal, Colin. That's a really big deal because now they can have a couple of weeks. They can go try and get Cardi Smith. Sounds like that's probably going to happen too. I don't really have any inside sources on that, but just
Right.
judging based upon the tea leaves, I think there's crystal balls now for him flipped. The big fish would be Michael Carroll. If they can land him, he's, of course, the five-star Alabama commit right now, the guard. He's a monstrosity of a high school, kid. It's like I'm a different species is kind of what I would think when you
Yeah.
look at a guy like this. He was in town last weekend, and they've got a bunch of IMG kids lined up, and then now you hit the portal with real artillery, and I think that was the question, was going to be like, hey, who's getting the keys? Are you going with a transfer or are you going with a freshman? Are you going to be in this for the long? Because if you go with a freshman expecting to win a national title next year might not be the way to go about it, right? Like, I think that might be false expectations, especially when we're talking about a younger player. And,
Right.
it was interesting. I did a reaction video today with Adam, and people got upset when I talked about the fact that he's undersized. Well, guess what? He's 17. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's not saying that that's never who, he's never going to grow or he's not
Yeah.
going to be capable of being a good quarterback because he's undersized. He is. I mean, let's just leave facts as facts, okay? And so I think that's where Adam and I were joking. We're like, man, saying anything short of this guy can turn water into wine, people would have been upset about. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
today wasn't the day. I guess some people wanted to hear our thoughts on how he can translate and all this. And I'm excited, man, because what this means, as you well know and I well know, is Coach Prime's here. And the other day he said he's got his kickstand down, and I laughed at the phrasing because you can kick that up just quick as you kick it down. Just lean the bike back to the left side and kick that thing up. So, but the point is I know he's loved it here, and he's been very consistent in every single thing he said.
Right.
Right, and this is what I've been saying on shows all over: is the man has done everything that he said he's going to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, for me at this point to go, well, I know he said it, but come on, does he really mean it? That
Yeah.
would be naive. You know
Right.
what I mean? That would be naive of me to not take him at his word because he's done
Right.
everything that he said. And I genuinely believe a couple of things. I know his calling is mentoring young people, and that it's not really the way it goes in the NFL. These guys are pros. They don't really want to hear a lot of that crap. They're just like, hey, man, this is a job for me, a lot of these guys. And I think he'd struggle with that a little bit because I think he could do it. Don't get me wrong. I just
Right.
think that he personally it would eat him alive in some instances. And I genuinely believe when he says, hey, I don't want anything to do with that. And the only reason I could see him potentially doing it is to coach Shador,
Mm.
but I'll tell you this, and I think I even brought this up with you last week. I see a young man right now that is ready to leave the nest a little bit. I do. And it's not because he doesn't want to be around, but you know what it is. You remember what
Yeah.
it's like. You get to his age, 21, 22. It's like, all right, let me go up my own, spread my own wings. I don't need
Right.
pops over my shoulder all the time. Like, I remember they were this offseason trying to plan a vacation, and he could not get Shador to commit to going on vacation with him because I remember what that was like at that age.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I don't really want to go on vacation with mom and dad if I have the option not to. I'd rather go be
Right.
with my friends or,
Right.
do whatever I was going to do. But I could see that where it's just like, okay, he's ready for a little bit of time. And he told Bucky and Well-Off, he's like, well, once the season's over, you guys aren't going to see me for a while. He just needs his own time to find himself and find his voice. And, I think that Coach Prime wants to let him do that as well. So I think as much as it kills him that this chapter is going to close here in short order, he knows what's coming, and they
Yeah.
all do. And so now what you have is the foundation of the future, because now you have an anchor to build everything else around. And you already have, I mean, your floor is so much higher than where you started from. It's not even, worth the discussion, quite frankly. And so
Mm.
here you go, moving forward. And now you can attack the transfer portal and you can go after underclassmen and go, yeah, look, it's not like we were talking about maybe Kyron Drones was going to transfer for Virginia Tech, right? Well, if you had a guy potentially who only was going to be here 1 or maybe 2 years, then I could see these conversations with Stephen A. and Michael Irvin keep continuing just
Yeah.
it's to the prime of the Cowboys and this is the NFL. And I now it's pretty clear he's going to be here because he's also a man of his word. That's what I
Right.
know. And if he brings in a talent like this, he's going to stick around to see this through. So I expect him to be here a few years now. Money ain't going to change his mind.
Yeah.
I really, I mean, he's in the rare position where he's got enough of that. I mean, maybe if you threw a ridiculous number at him, but I think for him at this point in his life, it's more about being happy, serving,
Mhm.
and mentoring young people.
And you're right. All this stuff gonna be on the table, and they not taking it off. Um, I seen somebody type. I don't know. Maybe you or somebody else said that for 10 days straight, ESPN has went on the record basically saying, talking about Dion. Excuse me, talking about that he's going to the NFL or Florida State, anywhere but Colorado.
I know.
And now with today,
Stephen A. killed me today on the plane. I told you I was listening to it. I almost
yeah,
was like, shut up, man.
yeah,
He was like, I just hit prime time at Boulder College. It's big wherever he goes. He just doesn't like Boulder, and he doesn't like Boulder because it's predominantly white. Let's call it what it is. And I understand that. Like I remember as a quick aside meeting an assistant coach for the basketball program. Guy played in the NBA. And look, I'm from downtown Chicago. So when you do come to Boulder for the first time, it can be a little bit of a culture shock, right? You're like, oh wow, it is really white. It is, and there's no doubt about it. However, I think I believe that's a big part of it for Stephen A. And there's not, it's not flashy. It's not flashy, and he'd like to see him in a big market, right? And I get that. But at the same time, it's played, man. It's played out. The man is happy, and if he's really your friend, let him be happy. That's kind of my philosophy about it. I was pissed when I watched the video though.
yeah,
He's like, prime time is I just hate seeing him in Boulder, Colorado. It's like, screw you, man. Boulder is amazing. What
yeah.
what is wrong with Boulder? I mean, the perfect weather, amazing scenery, great people, safe. I mean, what more could you want? But he wants the bright lights, the big stage. It drives me nuts.
I'm really, I don't know what his real reason for saying get out of Colorado, but I really want to put if I was a betting man, which I'm not, other than betting on myself, but if I was betting, I would say that ESPN cuts his check, so ESPN rocking with the SEC.
Of course.
So if he can get Deion Sanders to the SEC or the NFL, where Deion Sanders doesn't affect the SEC, by all means, they saying Stephen A. Go get him, go get him. Now
That's
that's
him,
how
bro.
I'm doing
That's
it.
him. He calls the shots there. He's getting paid so much money. This is all him. This isn't them telling him what to say. This is him wanting him in a bigger market so he
Market.
can talk about him. And you brought it up. There isn't anything else to talk about. I think we brought this up last week
Yeah.
too. There's no interesting NFL storylines, and that remains the same this week. The
Yep.
most interesting thing you could possibly talk about is Dion to Dallas, and we spoke about this,
Yep.
that it would continue because there isn't anything else like really great. All the NBA ratings are down. Like, they're struggling right now. What are they not struggling with? College football. It's up over everything else. And
Yep.
so, yeah, it's played out, man. It's kind of sad too to me. It's like, hey, man, he's got a great thing, and you as a sports analyst should be able to understand why it makes sense in Boulder and not in Tallahassee.
Right.
Like, I mean, why do you not want to put your critical thinking cap on for about 5 seconds and
Yeah.
understand why it actually makes sense here? What you tell me this, and I think this is what bothered me. Is like, really, we're back to college. What is he going to get at FSU that he's not getting in Boulder?
Correct. Correct.
He just landed the number 2 overall player in the country. He landed the number 1 lineman in the country last year. He's got everything set up the way he wants. The stadium's packed. The atmosphere is incredible. It's a beautiful place to live. He's clearly having success in recruiting.
Right.
People leave him alone. He calls the shots. Nobody tells him what to do. He's got an amazing athletic director who has essentially handed him the keys and will do anything that he needs.
Right.
What more could he possibly want? You're in central, you're in middle America, so you're halfway to both coasts essentially, a little closer on the west side. But once the Florida boys get out, they realize we got 300 days of sunshine a year.
Yeah.
It's not humid. I just, for him, it makes so much sense to me that I don't. If it was a situation, Colin, where it was like, oh, he doesn't have any NIL money, so he
Right.
really can't land these guys, then okay, maybe. But he's always talked about he wants to create a legacy. He doesn't want to follow somebody else's. And at
Correct.
Colorado, he can legitimately do that while also being in a place that he loves. And that isn't lip service. I do really think that I don't think he was. I think when he came in, he was a little skeptical if he was going to like it long term. But I think being here, experiencing a little bit of what Colorado had to offer, I think he's really kind of. I think if there were better fishing and better food, he'd really love it. But you have almost everything else you could possibly want.
Yeah. And see, one thing I done realized about the Boulder to Denver area, Coach Prime a Florida boy like me. Now, I realized when we travel to game as players, you really quite don't get to see that much because
Right.
you just don't. But last year, when we was in the Rose Bowl for my first time, that was his first time. So a lot of things that Coach Prime was doing for the first time, I was doing for the first time. And we both Florida boys, so I get it. So that Denver to Boulder is amazing.
Oh my God.
It's amazing. Um, it truly is. So I get it. I get why people try to use Florida State because he was there, because you in the state of Florida. You got every recruit in the world kind of living right there. And as well as in Colorado, they don't live there. You got to go bring them to you.
Yeah.
So I get why they tried to use the state of Florida, but you really can't use Florida State because Florida State looked at the bridge and said, I don't care about this bridge. Light it on fire.
Exactly.
Light the whole thing on fire. We ain't worried about him. He ain't going to be about nothing. Light that thing on fire. Man, so they did that. And when they lit it on fire, he turned into something. They said, God, dog, who said light it on fire? That was so stupid. Start building the bridge back. Start building the bridge. Maybe we can offer him a check that he ain't never seen before. Figure out what the numbers is. So they're trying to figure out something. And then they also want, I tell you this, watch. If Arkansas, I know this is crazy, but if Arkansas decides to let Coach Pittman go, they're going to plug Coach Prime name to it. I don't know why.
Everywhere.
Yeah. And then you know who else? I'm in the barbershop tonight. Well, before I even go there, my business partner, me and him talking about it, he was like, bro, I still wish he could have went to a Florida State initially. I was like, yeah, but they jacked that up. He was like, I know, but I wish. But we Florida boys, so
I get it.
It's a Florida thing, you know. Now we at the barbershop tonight, and they said, Coach, what you think about Coach Prime going to the Cowboys? I was like, man, he ain't going there. I said, you can't even make that scenario work because they got so much money going to Dak. Jerry Jones, Jerry Jones had Jimmy Johnson. You know that got messed up. So what you gonna do there? If you bring in Prime, he is going to be the spotlight, point blank, period. How do you maneuver with that? Now, maybe older now, he's saying, well, you know what? I see Phil Knight out there trying to let Oregon do something, and he's laying back. I might lay back too and let Dion roll me a chip. But that scenario hard. Now, the scenario they threw at me tonight, I said, they said, what if the Raiders, they say, you know, Al Davis and his son, Mark Davis, well, you know, Al, rest in peace, but the son, Mark, they say, they would love to have Coach Prime and Shador. And I said, well, no. So it's going to be scenarios forever. It's going to always be scenarios. And then, like you said, Coach Prime had that show. He kind of played around with it, saying little stuff. So, but you know what he's doing when he do it. When Mike did it, you know, Mike Irvin had to come back on the show.
He walked it back. He did, yeah.
Yeah, y'all. I ain't spoke to nobody in 24 hours, but
I did because they called me.
me up and told me
Yeah.
stop doing that.
Yeah.
So he said it's messing up recruiting. But
Even
he
Bucky
did
said that on a
still come
podcast.
back.
Even
He
Bucky
came
said
back
that the
and
other day.
said that he was like, look, man, I still would love to see him at Dallas. And then it seemed like everybody else the rest of the day was saying Dallas. So I was
Yeah,
like, they just ain't gonna let up off this Dallas. So I don't think
no.
we letting up off that. And as far as the quarterback for the future, man, this been a hot topic for me in my mind and talking to my business partner, and even talking with you. I know Juju. Matter of fact, before I even came on with you, I told my business partner, I said, yeah, me and Matt finna come on tonight by 10:30. It's about 10:15 then. I said, yeah, we're gonna come on. Excuse me. I said, but what you think? Now, they said this is me talking. This ain't no talking to Coach Prime. This ain't nobody asking nobody nothing. I say, do you think that Coach Prime then will bring in a transfer quarterback? He was like, bro, I just think they have to. I feel like that too. But then at the same token, somebody hit me with, well, they didn't do that to Shador. They gave him the keys. Well, the pitcher was giving him the keys. So to me, they actually giving him the keys. It's just we finna find out because they was right. He didn't do that to Shador. He let him ride out.
He's not going to do that to Juju.
So you don't think he gonna give him the keys?
That's why
So,
Juju picks you.
so you
can
think
start day one.
So you so break that down. What you seeing it as?
Oh, he's gonna start day one. Yeah, he'll compete with Staub probably. Staub is in a great position. Staub all of a sudden found himself in a really good spot, which is kind of what we thought might happen after
Yeah.
Shador. It's just like, hey man, keep hanging around the bar. You never know what's gonna happen. And he's in a position now where, I mean, if I were him, I'd feel pretty good about competing with a 17-year-old incoming.
Well,
And it's not that I don't think that he's going to get the job or win the job. In fact, I don't believe he is. But having him there, if for some reason Juju's just not ready, but I don't believe that because I've seen his tape. And Coach
right.
Prime also, let's remember this, wouldn't give him the keys if he didn't think he was ready. That's one thing I know. That's one thing I know. And the other thing I know is he's realistic. He knows that there's going to be bumps and bruises. He knows it'll be some good and some bad, especially being that young, but he's starting from such a foundation that your ceiling is so much higher if you go with Juju than if you go with a transfer quarterback. So if you can build, and here's what I said, young QB, you need a really staunch running game. Didn't I tell you last week they need to go bring in some guys in the backfield with some D's on the chest?
Yeah.
They really do. And Micah and Isaiah, they can be a part of the mix, but now you got Juju. Now you're going to go young. You better have some guys that can really tote the rock. And I just don't believe that they have like a workhorse guy capable of that. I think Isaiah and Micah can be good rotational pieces, but beyond that, they need to upgrade that room even further. And they kind of lost some guys late this last year and didn't really have a ton of time to go about replacing some, and they did the best they could. But now moving forward, you need a really strong running game, at least for the first couple of years of Juju, in my opinion, until he proves that he can really handle the load. Throwing the ball 40 times a game, if that's where it comes to. And the other part of it is you need a great defense, which in my opinion, you've checked that box. You're going to lose some pieces. Now they need some linebackers and they're going to need to go and, get some dudes out of the portal. But at the same time, you got to remember this too. Cam going to be gone. Shiloh going to be gone. Trav going to be gone. Shador's going to be gone. You had a lot of leadership tent poles where Coach Prime maybe didn't need to be as hands-on right away because you already had guys in the locker room who understood the culture, who understood what you were trying to do. Tyler Brown, who understood what the coaches were expecting, and those guys could lead the team as well. You'll have some of that next year. It's just going to be different. And so I think you change the way you do things just a little bit because don't take for granted what kind of presence Shador is. You know what I mean?
Now, see, this my thing. You got Ryan there, you got Ponder there, you got Wade, you got Taylor. So they're gonna put their work in to get the job. Cause I know if I'm looking at somebody, I'm like, man, I ain't finna let no little kid come dog me, man. I've been in college. I'm finna get this job. But I have also seen, matter of fact, two out of the state of Georgia. Two quarterbacks came out of the state of Georgia, and one went to Clemson. No, both of them went to Clemson. Uh, the Clemson quarterbacks who won the chips, Deshaun, and the last one that's at Jaguars. When,
Trevor.
when they came out, them Georgia quarterbacks, and he's outdoing their Georgia numbers, are right in the ballpark with their numbers. And I remember when I seen Deshaun Watson in a 7-on-7 or something when he was coming out of high school, and I looked at him, I was like, man, that quarterback ain't gonna be by nothing. He just didn't look like it to me. Man, when I tell you he got out there and they put him out there that night versus Florida State, that boy was out there balling. Boom, 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 boom. I say, God, dog, he good. So, and then I remember when they put in the quarterback that's at the Jaguars right now. They had a veteran quarterback that they could have started. I think first name was Kelly, or last name was Kelly, and he was starred. And then
Kelly Bryant.
Yeah, so they had him starred, but then they brought the other quarterback in and he would ball. But it was one game that I said to myself, if they didn't have Kelly, it was gonna be a wrap. It was Texas A&M, and they put the quarterback in. He was throwing that thing, but then it got real tight, and then Kelly had to come back and win it. So, but then I think they won the chip that year too. So it's funny like that too. So I think he has the ability to come in and be, like you said, a day one starter. But
he is. He's going to be.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, but it's also the scenario. Now people were saying it at first, and I ain't really want to listen to it. But the Virginia Tech quarterback, he possibly may come out and want to transfer. Do Coach Prime take it and say, hey, we bring you in, but we got Juju, we got our other quarterbacks, you got to battle. Or let's say the Tulane quarterback transfers, or the Washington State quarterback transfers, or just a big-time quarterback transfers and want the competition versus Juju and the rest of the quarterbacks, and they call him Prime like, Coach, I want this. I want this. What you want?
It's over.
You don't think Coach Prime will bring it?
It's done.
So the keys on the picture is officially letting us know, hey, I want Juju to go out there and do his thing. We do got running backs now. I like Michael Vision. I like when I run. I like when DH gets a chance. I like when Charlie O. But I think what's coming back next year is I don't know if Charlie O coming back, but I know DH and I and Michael coming back.
Well, for now,
would say Micah probably has the best vision because he's so low to the ground, man. It's like I keep telling everybody that Central Florida game let me know that boy vision was something else, boy. It was like he was slicing and dicing, but we probably and then we haven't seen Hood yet. Hood might get out there. Now that don't mean he couldn't break the lineup this time. That might just mean that hey, we had enough backs. Hood, you got here late. Let's run it back. And then what I like about Juju coming in January, instead of him only getting 15 practices in spring, he's also going to get some practicing once we beat Kansas, beat Oklahoma State, win the Big 12 championship game. He can also get some practice days as well during that. So I think it's lining up for him to get a lot of reps.
I don't know how early he's going to get here. I don't know how early he's going to get here. I think he might. I mean, that's if to be here during bowl practices would be really early.
Well, most kids at the first bowl, the first playoff game, once we all finish is December the 20th, right?
Yeah. That's still pretty early.
Well, the Under Armour All-American game, it started like the last week of December, so ain't too much of a difference. You just
so it says it's the last week of December, the UA All-American game?
Right, it's all
yeah, so he probably won't be here till the spring ball.
No, he coming in January.
Oh, yeah, but I mean like for real practices. Yeah.
Well, I think once his season over in Georgia, I believe all they gotta do is, hey, let me graduate now. Bam. He out.
High school. I mean, I guess you could just do that. You could just,
Because
hey,
December
let me just
gonna be
graduate.
done. Once he finished the football season, he probably pretty much done with the
I don't.
schoolwork now.
I would have no idea about that. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I would love to see him in the
I'd be pretty surprised if he were here for bowl practices.
I wish I want him to. Talk
Yeah,
about
well, I mean, just because you want him to doesn't mean going to
yeah,
be. I
yeah,
mean, I'd like to see. I mean, it'd be nice, but he'll be here. He's got all spring.
yeah,
It'll
yeah.
be
And
him
well,
and Ryan
if,
rocking in the spring
look,
and Ponder.
if all of it transferred to January and we still, if the game's still going in January, which they are, and we still in the mix, boom. Now January he'll get the
From your
practice.
mouth to God's ears.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
just can't get that far yet. Like I just in my mind, I would love that. I'm gonna need to see. I'm gonna need because we're entering uncharted territory here.
right.
So let's task at hand. November 21st.
How you feel about Kansas this week?
Good. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, a lot of people are giving them a lot of credit, and I know they just beat two top 25 teams. Iowa State, I thought was a little overrated anyway, and
Yeah,
that BYU team was kind of had like a rabbit's foot in their pocket for like
right,
5 weeks.
right.
So I think Kansas is good. I think Daniel's probably the best quarterback they faced this year. Would you agree with that? I think he probably
I
is.
told people that today. I said I think he's the most trickiest because he actually has a team built for it. Because do you know they actually could be undefeated right now?
Oh yeah,
They,
I mean
they could be
they've lost
undefeated
one
off
score
one
game.
loss. They could be
Yeah.
undefeated or one loss. And that's what I don't think people talking about. And now that they are winning and should have beat K-State, that would have been a 4-game win streak. So they feeling some kind of way now.
Yeah.
They feeling some kind of way. And Daniel's like, man, I'm
Hey.
finna get out here and do my thing. I'm finna show the country that I can shut these boys down. But it'll be him versus Shador, and their defense clearly ain't finna shut us down. Our defense clearly can give them that work. So I think that's where Kansas falls short at. They defense ain't gonna be able to do what our defense do.
No.
But I feel like Shador them could put up way more points than Kansas could.
Yeah, last week, all the Brian and Adam, all I heard last week was Utah's defense doesn't give up that many points, Matt. There's no way CU gets to 45 because that was my prediction. Because I told you last week that they were a team that had given up, right? They lost their Super Bowl, and yeah, okay, they fought a little bit, they scrapped a little bit. That's what you expect from a Kyle Whittingham team, but nah, man, CU has just outclassed them. You know what I mean? They didn't really deserve to be on the field with them, and that was the number one defense in the Big 12, and they were pretty much all healthy. Offensively, they have a lot of injuries, but defensively, they were fine. And
Right.
CU, I will give them credit. It was the first time I've really seen an opposing coach make Shador think at the line of scrimmage for like an extra half a second for
Yeah.
about a half. And then in the second half, they figured things out and they went tight. They went bunch. They just started going. They didn't start. There was way too much down the field they were trying to get. And, for them, they're better when they just get it and go, man. You don't need to rely on home run plays or constantly hunt those. This offense and this quarterback is too good to do that.
Yeah.
And I was a little frustrated by that, and they still scored 49 points. And if you've listened to them, I love this. I don't know, man. Some of these fans, they drive me crazy. Some people were like, "You guys just need to be grateful that he's there." And I'm talking about that they can be better, yet scoring 49, which is the ultimate compliment because
Right.
you've got a team capable of scoring 49, and
Yeah.
yet somehow, I'm ungrateful based upon some of the stupid comments. And I was just like, how do you not grasp what I'm saying? They scored 49 points, but I have a higher standard for them. I
Yeah.
think they should have 60 burgered Utah. Like
Yeah.
easily. They should have dropped 60 on them. And yeah, okay, Daniels is good. As long as you don't beat yourself, don't turn the football over, no stupid penalties. CU's the best team in the Big 12, and I don't think it's particularly close now, especially because I think they've gotten better.
Right.
The one thing they have to do, though, is they have to start running the ball again. They got away from that for 2 weeks, and they got by and scored 90 points. Okay, so let's just talk about the last 2 weeks. Last 2 weeks, they've scored 90 points. They haven't run the ball for anything.
Right.
Almost slipped. They haven't run the
Yeah.
ball for anything, and they're 5 of 24 on third down the last 2 weeks.
Right.
How? How do you score 90 points when being 5 of 24 on third down in back-to-back games? I brought that up with Coach Prime in the presser after the game. He's like, "Whoa, I didn't even realize that. That's horrible." I was like, "Yeah, I mean, how does that happen?" But part
Yeah.
of it is you're not winning on first and second down. So for CU, especially late in the year, Colin, they got to get back to running a football, man. They got to be up around 120 yards a game. And, I've said it once, I'll say it 100 times. If they get to 120, I don't think they lose, because if they're rushing for 120, what does that mean? Shador's not getting sacked.
Right.
And how much is Shador putting up? Because nobody's slowing him down. So if you get to 120 on the ground, what are you, through the air? Yeah, nobody's keeping up with you then.
Yeah. Rev just said that, appreciate that, Rev. He said that on the Pat McAfee show that Juju said he's coming in basically January.
Okay, great. Perfect. Yeah, so he'll get in there, get with Coach Mo in the weight program, and they'll go from there.
Now, you're right. I want us to run the ball. I know we can win with Shador. I'm seeing it. But if that run game, man, if we could just smash out, like you said, just hit, it puts everybody at bay. You just can't say, hey, it's 99% of pass. Get ready for the pass. Get ready for the pass.
Shador's they'll kill him. That's what killed him last year. They had no ability to run the football, and way too much was on Shador's shoulders, and way too much was on it the last 2 weeks. Like, he still had to make a lot of plays.
Right.
You know what I mean? So and we can say, the other section of fans that kills me are the ones that are like, you don't understand this team. They don't want to run the football. They've got the best quarterback. It's like, no, I know who the guy is. They've got to give him some support. I mean, can somebody give this man a hand? So it's not all on his shoulders, because they're not winning a title like that. I mean, I'm talking about a title. They're not winning a title like that. And I think they got a team that could give anybody a run for their money. So you got to uncover every stone to make sure you got things worked out.
And get the run game going. Get that run game going and get it churning. Like, what was that, the Cincinnati game? We was really running it.
Yeah, Isaiah had like 91 yards.
Yeah, I need that type of run game. I need that run game every game here on out, and I know we're going to win it all. I honestly feel like right now, and I told them that at the barbershop now, I'm like, listen, y'all, there's no team in the country you could tell me like that. Oregon could possibly have 3 losses. Georgia could possibly have at least 2 more losses.
Yeah.
Texas almost lost to Arkansas. So I'm like, come on now. And any team you name, they could have took some L's. So I'm like, ain't nobody separating themselves. So we get off in that mix, and we win this Saturday, win next Saturday, finish it off in that championship game. So when the next 3 Saturdays in a row, it's game time. I think once we step foot in there and they officially have us in there, whichever way they want to place us, in the 4th ranked spot or the 5th ranked spot, however they want to do it, I believe we have the opportunity to win it all. But I know it's one game at a time. I'm just ready to see it. Like, I do want to see that run game. I want, if it's IA, if it's Micah, if it's DH, if it's Charlie, get out there and give us, like you said, 100 to
120, 120. That's my goal every week.
Give me like 100 to 100. Give me 100 and Shador pop off and get him a run in.
Yeah, I agree. Although I think he's a little nicked up, to be honest with you. He's been dealing with some lower body stuff the last couple of weeks. Although I did hear from some folks who watch practice this week that don't normally. They were like, yo, they're humming right now. They said that it reminds them of a pro practice. They're all dialed in right now. They're super focused. We talked to Shiloh this week, who's really locked in. Everybody's just locked in. Yeah. And you can tell they're a really close group. I've been around a lot of teams that even had some success. They just weren't tight. Like, this group is super tight. The culture is there. The camaraderie is there. The standard is there. And that goes for the staff too. So they're in a great place, man. They just don't beat yourself. Like, that would be the one thing. The one way. Oh, Russell Wilson tried to throw a Hail Mary in the blizzard, and they just lost. Pittsburgh lost that game. So the one way that you stop this short is if you beat yourself. Right. Because they have what they should need. They got the best 2 players in the country, in my opinion. And no matter who they play, they'll have the best 2 players in the field. That's a pretty good place to start. Not to mention, we haven't talked about this yet, So I've got some eyes and ears with Kansas football, and guess who's talking crazy about Travis Hunter?
The Kobe Bryant guy.
Crazy. And Travis knows. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out on Saturday. Doesn't go well. If
Yeah,
there's one guy I wouldn't talk about, it'd be Travis. And it's because here's the thing, and this is where one of the most common misconceptions, people are like, oh well, CU talks a lot. CU never talks. Nobody says anything. I have never, not one time, heard bulletin board material out of Coach Prime's mouth if the other team didn't start at first. Not once.
right.
And yet they keep coming. And I always say, words don't teach. Experience is life's greatest teacher. And
Yeah,
sometimes you just need your ass whooped. And
yeah.
Travis is happy to do that to you. Like, Mello Dotson and Kobe Bryant, they're going to be NFL guys. They're studs. Like, don't get me wrong. It's no disrespect. But you then meet what an alpha looks like when you run up against Travis Hunter. Like, I bumped into him this week. We were walking down to the parking garage after the press conference on Tuesday. It was just the two of us. And, like, this guy is just different, man. He not fatigued, not limping, super happy-go-lucky, spring in his step. He's played like 1,200 snaps already this
Yeah.
year. He is just, I continue to be in awe of him, in awe. I wish I had it together at his age like that.
See, my thing is, I already know Trap already gonna be crunk and ready to do you.
Yeah.
Now you give it an opportunity. You talking. You said you got this game written in your notes and you ready for the game. Like, man,
The stuff behind the scenes has been even crazier, by the way.
yeah. So just imagine he ready to do it.
Yeah.
Ready to do it. So yeah, I guess it's gonna be a personal game.
It's on. Oh, it's
personal.
on. It's
It's
on.
finna be personal. So I'm finna, man, that thing finna get personal. So it's game time. It is.
You know what? We haven't had one of these in a minute. I like it. As Coach Prime said, they like to be booed and naysayed and hated on. He said he
Yeah,
called it sexy, right?
yeah,
They're playing really well on the road in hostile environments right now. Now, this isn't going to be hostile. It's Arrowhead. It's not
right.
going to be full. You know what I mean? It's an NFL stadium. It's going to be a little bit different. And so, yeah, okay, there'll be some Kansas fans there, but there's going to be a lot of people rooting for CU too, because I imagine there's going to be a lot of Buffs fans that made the drive. It's not too bad of a drive. It's like 8 hours, something like that. It's really not too bad. If I had to do one road trip, it would be this one or Nebraska. But anyway, but the point is this, is that they have worked way too hard to let it slip now. And Kansas may be fighting for a little something still. The one thing that Kansas wants
Well,
to
they
do.
are, because they win this one, and next week they got a bowl game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but that what I said, a little something. A
Yeah,
little bowl game.
yeah,
We can talk like that now.
yeah,
Now that they've won enough games, we didn't used to be
yeah.
able to talk like that. But it's just like those. I don't know if you saw what those folks in Boise were talking about this week, talking about how there was some. I mean, it was unbelievable. Some AP voter put out there. They had a
Yeah,
corner with 11 tackles, and they were like, yeah, well, that guy in Colorado only has 23 tackles and a lot of snaps. And we all just hammered them. They were
right.
because, we don't normally do that. We really try not to go after people like that. But when
Yeah,
you say dumb stuff, I mean, that's just dumb, man. Like if your judge of how good a cornerback is that he had 11 tackles, you don't know ball,
right,
period. And so we got all over him this week for that. But that's what happens. People are going to keep coming at this program. And guess what? If they make the college football playoff, nobody's going to pick them. They can't win. They got this far. This is where it's all over. What are they going to play, Ohio State or something like that? Oh, Ohio State, too good in the trenches. They'll run all over them. CU is just going to keep proving people wrong. And if we're lucky enough to get so far, there will be some memorable moments if all goes well.
man. I'm looking forward to us making that real run and be right where you really want to be.
Yeah.
What you think about everybody going to the East-West Shrine game?
I think that's cool. Hey, look, if Coach Prime gave you his blessing to do that, because make no mistake, he's saying yes or no on all those things. And he even brought up today on the coaches show that they're not sending anybody if they don't take Cam. He's going to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to showcase themselves,
Right.
professionally in some way, shape, or form. I know Shadour's going to go. I don't know if he'll play. If I were him, I don't think I'd play. I think I would probably throw. I think I'd probably throw. At all that's probably all I would do. Shador doesn't have to do anything, man. If I were
Correct.
Shador, I would do as little as possible.
Correct. David Talk Boss. I just did a show with him about an hour or two ago. He said something that I didn't know that part of. He said Mike Penix went to the Senior Bowl and practiced all week, but
Yeah.
then game.
Yeah.
So I was trying to figure out what Shador would even do. And like you said, I guess he might go out there and throw. He might go out there and practice. I know he's gonna do something for
I was
them.
surprised he's even going out there, being honest with you.
I think because it's a bigger situation. I think East West Shrine Game was like, hey, come on, man. If you give us Shador, because that's gonna make our program look better, our bowl game will look better versus a Senior Bowl. We'll take
anybody. Yeah.
Now there, like I told on David Talk Bus, the East West Shrine Game is known for taking the lower round guys to the undrafted free agents. That's what their bowl is known for. But getting the Shador, that changed the game. Like now, that makes two things.
Hey, well, hold up, time out. The Shrine Game's in Vegas, right?
No, they saying now it's in the Dallas Cowboys Stadium.
Well. Yeah, I mean, Shador probably is like, wait, where's the Senior Bowl? Mobile, Alabama? No. Where's the Shrine Game? Well, we're all going there. We're all going to the Shrine Game. Dallas, we're going to the crib, or we're going to Vegas. That's it, because I remember the Shrine Game used to be in Vegas.
And at one time, it was in St. Petersburg, because I went to it in 2019.
Oh, okay.
It was in St. Pete. I went out there to it. And it was guys, like I said, the fourth round to the undrafted free agents. But they have never, I ain't talking about the old days, but in the recent years, they didn't have a guy of Shador caliber coming to that game. No. Now the Senior Bowl got two NFL first round quarterbacks, and Bo Nix and Mike Penix. They got that last year. I don't know if they had it the year before that, but they got last year. So, maybe
wherever they go, they got motion.
Yeah, and see, I think they pretty much run it. And now, to me, the East West Shrine Game has solidified themselves with Coach Prime. Now, hey, Coach, you send me your ballers, I got you too. So now this just a gateway, because Coach Prime ain't going nowhere. Yeah. He feeling like, hey, I'm gonna have dogs. You take care of me, I got you. So now they both looking out. So I think East West Shrine Game won. My business partner told me, said, hey, I believe the Senior Bowl gonna come back and do it. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, the Senior Bowl likes to get all those guys. They can't be too happy that everybody committed to the Shrine Game first.
Oh, before I let you go, man, I don't want to keep holding you.
You're good.
Black said, what do you think Colorado's identity is now?
Defensively. That's what I think it is. And that was my hot take before the year, is that by the time the season is over, they would be relying more on their defense than on their offense, which I think right now they are. I think part of it is like a lack of an elite scheme. They don't have the best scheme. They don't. Let's just call it what it is. Pat's done a nice job. He's made adjustments, but he's not like one of these guys who could reinvent the wheel. He's just not. He's just like a savvy, experienced guy who's seen all of it, understands how to make some adjustments, but he's not like Mike McDaniel down there in Florida and Miami, who's, running pre-snap motion and pulling a rabbit out of a hat and playing 3-card money before the snap. Like, they're not really doing any of that. I'd like to see a little bit more of that. And as a result, I think they struggle because at times, and when I say struggle, they still score 49. So let's just put everything in perspective. But that's how good I think they could be. If they had like a dynamic scheme, they would be running everyone out of the building. I really think that. Shador could have even bigger numbers if their scheme was better. But look, I think part of it is they have weaknesses. Their offensive line is a weakness. The one thing that Pat Shurmur has done extremely well this year is he's schemed around their weaknesses. I was talking to Brock Heward this week, who's calling the game for Fox on Saturday, and he's called a bunch of their games. Right. Brock Heward is CU's lucky charm, by the way. They're like undefeated when he calls games, and every time he calls an opponent's game, they get the loss that they've needed so far.
Right.
Brock is a good guy. And so Brock was he was like, hey, get ready for all these takes that are going to come out during draft season about Shador only can throw at the line of scrimmage. I was like, that's not true. I was like,
Right.
that's not true. The only reason they've done that is so he doesn't get killed. That's why they have to go quick game, because they don't have time to go down the field. Going
Right.
down the field isn't his problem. The first interception against Utah was born out of him wanting to be aggressive. He should have just taken LeJontay in the slot. Bam, 7-yard drive starter. Let's go. Instead, he throws the pick. But that's not the problem. And then he was like, yeah, no, I know, but you're going to hear that. I said, oh, I know that. We're going to hear bad footwork. We're going to hear, holds on to it too long. We're going to hear not a good teammate, not a leader, too flash. We're going to hear all that stuff about Shador.
Right.
And no matter what we hear about Travis, the takes we hear about Shador are going to be infinitely more annoying, at least in my opinion, because it's like, no, that's not who he is. But you don't really want to know because you're really not trying to know. You're not really putting in the effort to know who he is.
Yeah.
So I did an interview with my guys in Vegas at Raider Nation Radio on Thursday. Your boy Q out there, he does ESPN nationwide radio late night. I've known Q for a while. We go on each other. We were going on each other's radio shows. But I told him last year when the Broncos were in the market for a quarterback, I was like, Shador would be great, but they're going quarterback this year, so they're not going to wait. But I hope he's in Vegas. And that's what I told them last year. And so they've been having me on because I called this like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
You watch those Vegas games every week. It's like the stadium is like half full of the opposing crowd.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's or more. And
Yeah.
so that they would start to set down some roots in Vegas. I think that's where he wants to be. If they win tomorrow, I'm going to ask him after the game about his thank you God tweets, because everybody has been kind of putting the internet sleuths out there have been putting it together that he tweets that out, thank you God, after every Raiders loss. So if they win, I don't want to do it after a loss, but if they win, I'm going to say, will you be paying attention to whatever time their game is tomorrow?
Yeah.
I'm going to try and get him to say it.
Florida time. Oh, well, it's Saturday, 3:30 on Florida time.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get him to say it. But anyway, look, I feel really good about the game on Saturday. I do. They're ready for this. They've worked way too hard. They've come way too far to let a team like Kansas derail them right now. They're going to be ready. And look, I think it's kind of better that you come into this game not having played a perfect, game last week. Because now you have no chance that you're not going to be focused.
And now with Brian talking that trash, they going to be ready to run it at him, throw it at him. Let's get him.
The last time a team talked about Travis like that was CSU. And they knew that too. And certain people made sure they knew that too. And it went well. It went well. So good luck with that, Kansas.
To me, we're a championship team, so we just got to show it Saturday. That's at the bottom line. Just show it. Just tie them up, get them off the field. Next game, tie them up, get them off the field, and just keep tying them up, and we just keep rotating them.
That's simple, right?
That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. SR said, before I let you ride,
you're fine.
SR said,
if there's questions, we can take a couple.
Yeah, SR said, what did Kobe say behind the scenes?
I can't say that, man.
Can't say it. See, hey, just know Kobe talking that trash. Hey, line me up with Trav. I do Trav. Trav ain't gonna catch nothing on me.
Did you hear Trav on the stream last night?
I can tell. I'm a DB. I can tell y'all. I ain't scared of Trav. He go both ways. He ain't played no DB like me. Ain't no DB on none of these rosters like me. Ain't no DB rated higher than me. Watch I step up in Travis' face. I'ma jam into the dirt. Boy, Trap doing all that dancing. I'ma slam his face mask in the dirt. That's basically what he's saying, y'all. If you really want to know, he's saying he finna dog Trap. He said it nicely, talking to the people. Yeah, I got notes. I had the game. If I got the game circuit, I want to wear you out. If I got the game circuit, I'm gonna be all in your hip pocket. I'm gonna make you slap me and get you out the game. He probably gonna try to make Trap jab him one time, and then gonna fall on the ground and flagrant foul. They gonna be calling all kind of fouls. But yeah, I know they trying to. I know Kobe saying, I'm gonna lock this boy down. That boy ain't gonna catch nothing on me. Coach, leave me one-on-one with him. Walk up right up to his face. Trap on one-on-one with you. Tell him to throw a fade route or a post route. Boy, tell him to throw one. So,
give me something like that.
That's how I think he's doing. Hey, man, Matt, tell everybody where they can find you at and where they can check you out at, man.
At Real Matt Smith on YouTube, Matt with 1T, and social media, and certainly we'll check in with you next week, probably. Hopefully, talking about this train keeping rolling here.
Yeah, it is, man. Hey, y'all heard, man? Check him out. He gonna be there. He gonna give you access that you ain't gonna get nowhere else. Hey, appreciate you coming on, man.
Good to talk to you, buddy.
All right. Hey, see y'all, man. Holla, holla.